When people talk, listen, man, I'm going to raise that red flag.
This narrative, especially after 1 year.
1 year.
One bad year. It's one big splash move. And because I don't think people understand how much cap space we can create.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you're a very humble person.
And I'm never going to be right about anything.
Yeah.
I was right.
Hey, y'all. I taking a break again from work just because I got to get some creative time in so I don't go crazy. But yeah, I've just been kind of thinking about the theme that I've been kind of going on of using historical data to do what good organizations do and to not be bad anymore. And I don't agree just based on data, not based on my opinion, based on data. I like a lot of these players. I root for the Panthers, so me personally, I want them to succeed. But I'm going to go through the first two picks because that's what we've been talking about, right? No matter what happens, we did the right thing by drafting a receiver first. We know that based on what we talked about before. Premium picks should go to receiver. Good organizations use premium picks on receiver. Bad organizations do not use premium picks on receiver. So that is a check mark, whether I like Leggett or not. Obviously, I could say, well, Ladd went 2 spaces later and, he was great this year. He's an unfinished product. Like, that's silly. We shouldn't do that. but let's move on from that. The next pick we had was 39, right? So we decided to trade back so we can get a second this year. I'm all for that. But I know you can't play Monday morning quarterback, hindsight's 2020, whatever cliche you want to use. The 39th pick that we had, Braden Fisk was drafted. Braden Fisk has 9 sacks this year. Jadeveon Clowney, who is taking up a significant part of our cap space, and he's old, has 5.5 this year. Braden Fisk, a rookie, was ready to come in and contribute right away. And we desperately needed the end. But usually good organizations don't draft the end in the first 2 rounds. So I'm not super mad that we didn't make the pick, except we desperately needed a pass rush. And he hit at 39. Okay? So, say, Alex, you said that we're not supposed to draft a defensive end in the first 2 rounds because it's only happened 8 times in 6 years by the 4 organizations I consider elite, and only 3 in the first 2 rounds. So 3 times in 2 rounds was a edge player drafted by what I consider great organizations. So I'm fine not doing it. Hindsight's 2020, we desperately needed somebody at the position, but I'm okay with not drafting Fisk. But who was drafted after him? The very next pick. Cooper DeJean, who is currently 3rd in odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. We could use another cornerback because we had statistically the worst defense of all time. And, what did I say? 24 picks by what I deem great organizations picked cornerback in the top 4 picks. 10 were drafted in the first 2 rounds. So good organizations tend to draft defensive backs in the first 2 rounds. Eagles were the ones that drafted them. And Eagles are a good organization. And that was the pick afterwards. And we as content creators for Panthers, the very first episode I did in Ricky's show at the time, the Bo Body Show, Dunk came on from unnecessary bluntness. And who did he say we desperately should take at 39? Braden Fisk. Because Ricky was pushing back on him. Ricky wanted Jalen Polk. And Dunk was like, no, we need Braden Fisk. And we're just content. We're just guys for the most part. I mean, Dunk's on a different level than me, but we're just guys. And we're like, yeah, that's obvious. And then we're like, yeah, we really need a center. And besides receiver, what's the most taken in the first 2 rounds? Offensive line. 33 offensive and defensive tackles were taken in the first 4 rounds, and 13 were the first 2 by what I deem great organizations. And Zach Frazier, who is currently odds on the 5th favorite for Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, which don't usually go to linemen. He's 5th. And he went at 51. And we were just guys. And we said, yo, target JPJ, target Frazier. JPJ got taken at 38, so we couldn't take him. So I'm sitting there, just a guy in my house, being like, oh, we're taking Frazier here. We should get Frazier right here. So we lost Fisk, DeJean, and Frazier, who I know, Monday morning quarterback, I get it. But data says that great organizations, you should take offensive line or you should take defensive back as a secondary pick to wide receiver. I'm okay not drafting the defensive end because great organizations don't do that often. But what they really don't do is they don't take running back. They just don't. 12 running backs. So we're going to do 2019 because that's what I've done with every other position. So we're going to go back 6 years. 12 running backs were taken 46th or earlier. So we took Jonathan Brooks at 46. Since 2019, 12 running backs were taken 46th or earlier. 3 of them won a playoff game with their team, the team that drafted them. So the ones that won a playoff game were Jahmyr Gibbs. But he shares a backfield. But he's the outlier. He is the one that you can't really explain because he's not like everyone else. So he's just the outlier. Granted, he's with a fellow running back that makes, I don't remember what his contract is, but he just got extended again. I think they're giving Montgomery $8 million a year or something like that. They're giving another running back a significant salary. So you're basically just saying that Ben Johnson runs an offense that is really geared towards the running back, and that's just kind of an outlier offense because he considers the running back part of the passing game as well. I can explain it, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the main outlier. The other one is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire started his rookie year. In the second year, he got outrushed by Darrell Williams, undrafted free agent. They did not pick up Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 5th-year option, and he is now on the New Orleans Saints. So basically, that was a waste of a pick. He was so bad his first year, they went and got the ghost of Le'Veon Bell. They ain't going to make that mistake again. They just got Pacheco in the 7th round. They got the ghost of Kareem Hunt and Pacheco running their backfield. Their Super Bowl heroes were Damian Williams and Jerick McKinnon. They ain't going to make that mistake again. And I can't believe they did it because they're what I deem great organizations. The last one is Travis Etienne. Now, Travis Etienne missed his whole first year because of an injury. And then the next year, they won the division at 9-8. And they came back to win in a playoff game against Justin Herbert, who doesn't seem to play playoff games very well. So those are the 3 of the 12 that have won a playoff game with the team that they're on. So in 6 years, 3 have won a playoff game, and those 3 were the outlier Gibbs, Etienne, who basically has just lost his job to take Bigsby. They drafted a running back right after him because they're a bad organization. And what do? They keep drafting running backs high. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who the second year lost his job. So these are all failures as a whole. Yes, Bijan Robinson is super exciting. They made the playoffs with him. I'll just go down the list. Bijan, Gibbs, outlier. Brees. And then they did. You got Brees, and then you drafted 2 running backs this year? That's why the Jets are a bad organization. Because they do this stuff. Don't be like them. Kenneth Walker. Ain't won a division. Ain't won a playoff game. Can't stay healthy. He was drafted 36. Or drafted 31st. A first-round premium pick that could have gone to a receiver. Could have gone to offensive line. To a guy that can't stay healthy. And then the next year, you drafted Charbonnet in a second round. The Seahawks are becoming a bad organization. We should not be like the Seahawks anymore. They're like starting to come down. They didn't make the playoffs this year. Najee Harris hasn't won a division, hasn't won a playoff game. Steelers, what are you doing? You used to be a great organization. What are you doing? Like, you're starting to be a Band-Aid organization. Steelers. So, they get going. Etienne got hurt the first year, missed the whole first year. Snuck into the playoffs as a 9-8 division winner. Won a home playoff game against Herbert. And 3 years later, he's losing his job to Tank Bigsby. Javonte Williams, drafted 35th. No playoff wins, no division titles. CEH, bust. Lost his job second year to an undrafted free agent. DeAndre Swift, he couldn't see the field. He got getting hurt when he was with the Lions. Oh, then he goes to the Eagles, and he's a Pro Bowler. Because only a bad organization would draft a running back that early. Now they got Dan Campbell, and he turned around the organization, and he said, see ya, DeAndre. Jonathan Taylor. He went to the playoffs his first year. Didn't win a game. No division. No playoff wins. Selected to 41st overall. Been to the playoffs one time. Josh Jacobs randomly went to the playoffs with the Raiders that when they fired their coach, they just kind of just started winning games. But Josh Jacobs was drafted 24th overall. No division wins. No playoff wins as a Raider. So, historical data basically says if you're not Jahmyr Gibbs, don't draft the top 46 a running back. But we did it. But if we looked at historical data, or recent data, I guess, historical data, yeah. Yes, Herschel Walker really helped teams. Emmitt Smith, yeah. They helped teams, and you did draft running backs early then. But this is the new NFL. It's a passing league. Premium picks go to wide receiver skill players, and you bring in running back in later rounds or in free agency. So, to prove that point, let's go down the top 15 running backs this year in rushing yards. They're all either on new teams, they have never been to the play or never won a playoff game, or they're a 4th round pick or later. So you got Saquon Barkley, new team. Derrick Henry, new team. Bijan, never been to the playoffs. Jonathan Taylor, been to the playoffs once, no playoff wins. Gibbs, outlier. Josh Jacobs, new team. Kyron Williams, 5th round pick. Chuba, 4th round pick. Also, never won a playoff game or been to the playoffs. Aaron Jones, new team, and he was a 5th round pick. Bucky Irving, 4th round pick. James Conner, new team, 4th round pick. Tony Pollard, new team, 4th round pick. Rico Dowdle, undrafted free agent. Najee Harris, never won a playoff game. Joe Mixon, new team. And you know what? Saquon doing great on his new team. Henry's doing great on his new team. Jacobs doing great on his new team. Kyron is excellent. He's a 5th-round pick. Irving's excellent. He's a 5th-round pick. Mixon doing great on his new team. Like, if we're in an analytics league, like this is a new analytics league, why aren't we using analytics? Drafting a running back at 46 is almost asinine. Yeah, it's good for fantasy football. Yeah, it's good for a jersey. But it doesn't win you games to draft running backs that high. And good organizations are showing me that. So, I mean, we'll see. And I'll get into like more of the draft a little, one by one. I'm not like researching this heavily. But yes, the right thing to do was to draft Xavier Legette or a receiver. You can't ground these guys too early. I mean, people always bring up Devontae Adams. Yeah, Devontae Adams didn't do anything until his 3rd year. Nico Collins didn't do anything until his 3rd year. We can't do the whole lad versus Excel, just like we could never do Stroud versus Bryce. But we can say drafting a running back at 46 is not a smart move. It doesn't win games. All you're basically doing is becoming. I call the Panthers the kids. We sit at the kids table, and we do. We're having our kids at the kids table. We're developing these guys, and then we just send them off to good organizations. Christian McCaffrey didn't win here, but we developed him, and we sent him off to the Niners, and they went to the Super Bowl. The Titans sent off Henry to the Ravens. The Giants sent off Saquon to the Eagles. This is the reason you're bad. You do what bad organizations do. Just do what good organizations do, and you'll be good. Like, I don't know what we're doing. Get an analytics person. So that's your second pick. So if I'm saying that I'm giving a grade and my premium picks are 1 and 2, and not only was it 1 and 2, but I had 39, right? And I could have said, sure, Legette. And we desperately needed defensive end. We desperately needed center. Because, this guy that got hurt all the time, we trusted him to be our center that he's never played before and be healthy all year long. That made a lot of sense. Me and Bricky, all summer long, we just sat there like, they gotta bring in a center. That would just be so dumb. This guy that never plays because he's always hurt. Like, there's no way he could last 17 games. And we're just guys. We're just dudes. What happens? He gets hurt. Oh, but we could have had the next best center on the draft at Frazier, who was the 5th in line for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Or we could have had this guy. Or we could have had this guy, Frazier, who's 5th best odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Gonna go Eddie Pinero on this one. Alright, that's it. I gotta get back to work, guys. Appreciate you listening. Like, subscribe, whatever. And see you next time.